Hey folks, Chris from Prep Logic. We're continuing our series on the Constitution and the Bill of Rights this week with the Second Amendment. The Second Amendment reads, "A well-organized militia being necessary to the security of a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed." Now, as with the last video, I want to break this down into two sections. The first section says, a well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state. Some important things to note. The wording, a free state. Our forefathers could have come here and had miles and miles of America. We could have just been America, one big America. But that wasn't the case. What the forefathers had observed is that people felt like they had differences of opinions, differences of faith, different ideologies. So they made states, independent places where independent people could think independent ways. If you want to believe one thing here and you want to believe one thing there, that's okay. Believe it in your state. Your states are part of a larger conglomerate, but act autonomously where the interests of your free will are concerned. So, when we look at infringement and where it comes down to the Second Amendment, I feel our first major infringement is the federalization of our militias. When the federal government came in and created a National Guard and made the state militia part of the federal army, yeah, there were some advantages, training and stuff like that. It's proven that, teaching people to act like soldiers is productive, but that should have been where it ended. Federalizing our militias took their interest away from our states. Just made them a lesser part of the army, more or less. That don't work. Our militias are supposed to be concerned with our issues in our states. They're supposed to train for situations in our states. And yeah, all you guys who want to say that I'm a militiaman, I take my rifle and I'm ready to go out and fight. It's not about fighting all the time. Being a militiaman is about more than that. It's about helping your neighbors. It's about helping out during floods and disasters, tornadoes. If you're in the militia and your neighboring community was just hit by a tornado or a flood or a disaster and you didn't get off your ass and go help, you're not a militiaman. Pure and simple. But back to infringement. Taking our militias and making them part of the federal army negates their purpose. The security of a free state. Our militias were there. Well, okay, bigger picture. Sorry, mosquito. Bigger picture. The federal army is there to protect us from the rest of the world. Our militias are here to protect us from the federal government. They are our security against tyranny. And if they are trained and part of the federal army, then how are our interests their interests? Just something to think about. Now, the next part of the Constitution says, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. We're seeing a lot of problems with this part here. Our senators and congressmen are arguing about ways to take our rights away. We elect them to protect our rights. They swear an oath to uphold that Constitution. So if they are trying to take those rights away, then clearly they're infringing on them. And there's an infringement. Bam. Going forward, any kind of gun law is an infringement. Period. Shall not be infringed. Now there's a caveat to that I will throw in there, and this is going to make some people angry, and I'm sorry for that. If you choose to use violence in any form to compromise another person's right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, then you lose those protections the Constitution offers, period. You don't get to use violence to take away someone else's American dream and expect your American dream to be preserved. No. So I have no problem saying that violent felons such as murderers, rapists, sex offenders, anything like that, don't get guns. Anyone that uses strength or intimidation to prey on the innocent or other people, you don't get guns. Got no problem saying that. Moving on though. Now, on that topic, there are laws being passed in states that are frightening. We have senators and representatives, like I said, talking about gun confiscation, all kinds of infringements. Some of the big ones that have happened recently in our news are things like the MASS Act. A bunch of Massachusetts politicians and people from a few other states are trying to push a law called the MASS Act, Make America Safe and Secure. It would put forth dystopian laws that would require all Americans who own firearms to be part of a licensed registry, register all their guns, serialize and register their ammunition, and participate in any mandatory buyback programs. Automatically, no questions asked, you have to participate. No. That's absolute infringement. It doesn't say the right of the people to keep and bear arms as long as you tell us what you have, where you keep them, and what you load them with, and promise to give them back, shall not be infringed. It doesn't say that. Sorry. And the bottom line is, if you don't like the Second Amendment, your options are this. Go before Congress and try to present law to justify an amendment. And if you can't do that, suck it up, Buttercup. We get guns. The MASS Act is a terrible idea. It's a terrible law. Anybody who lives in Massachusetts will tell you Massachusetts gun laws suck. Period. The other thing that I don't like, it's a complete infringement. It's a violation of so many sections of the Bill of Rights. It's not funny. Is the red flag laws. Now, I agree that people who are under threat of violence should be protected. That's what we have restraining orders for. When you file a restraining order against somebody, the process is this. You go to the courthouse, you present reasonable cause that this person is a threat to you. Your police department and the district attorney's office issues you a temporary restraining order. You get a temporary restraining order until you get your court date. During the temporary restraining order process, police officers or sheriff's deputies or constables or whatever your state has visits this person in question, informs them they've been served a restraining order, and they have to surrender their firearms. Then they go through a court date, and if they're guilty, you get a restraining order. They can't have guns for however long the judge dictates, and they have to stay away from you. That's due process. Yes, their guns are temporarily taken away from them because they've demonstrated they're a threat to somebody. But if they're proven innocent in a court of law, they get their guns right. That's due process. That's what everybody deserves. Red flag laws are different. Red flag laws are more like this. Say, I decide to go walking on my property, right? And I throw my rifle on my back because we have coyotes and big cats and all kinds of armadillos and stuff out here. Okay, so my neighbor sees my rifle, and while he's drinking his granola nut crunch latte with extra soy milk and eating a soy muffin, he just gets triggered by that. Oh my God, he has a gun. He calls the police and he says, this man walks around with a gun all the time. He must be dangerous. So, the police can decide, oh my God, he's triggered by this man's guns. We have to take them all. And they can take your guns for 60 days, then give you a court date to tell you why it's okay they took your guns, and that you don't get them back for a year at least. Now, it's not a court date for the purpose of a trial. It's just a formality to inform you of a judicial action. That's not due process. Due process dictates that you get to represent yourself or have representation for you and get to present a legal defense to the issue. Red flag laws don't allow that. Therefore, red flag laws are an infringement on the Second Amendment, the Fourth Amendment, and the Fifth Amendment. Red flag laws are all bad, unacceptable. There's so much going on with our Second Amendment right now. Little chips at our liberty. How heavy a trigger you can have on your rifle. How big your magazine can be. Can you have a silencer? Is it scary and black? These are all infringements. And I'm sorry, at the end of the day, the Second Amendment is not in good shape. So far, we're not looking good, folks. We're to the Second Amendment, and already we're just covered in infringements and oppression against our civil liberties. If you like this content, smash the like button. Share this video. People need to hear these things. We need to get our message out. Not everybody can sit and say things like this. Let me do it for you. We have to take time to stand up to this. And we might be getting to the point in this country where a vote's not enough. It might be time to stand up and whoop a little ass. I know people don't like to hear that, but it's the truth. I hope it's not the case, but I'm fearful. If you have any questions or comments, of course, hit us up in the comment section. We're happy to answer any questions or help with any research we can. Give us a subscribe. We got lots of good content coming out. We're small, but we're growing. Also, check out my friend Chris, the Renegade Outlaw Davis, on YouTube, and his Facebook site, The Davis Homestead, for lots of good homesteading ideas and good products to keep yourself healthy. As always, all we ask is that you're decent to each other, because we're all in this together. God bless.